Hello. So I haven't made one of these videos for quite a long time, um, but I had some spare time this morning, so I'm going to talk you through a couple of easily confused words. And the two words I'm going to look at today are trust and rely on. So let's look at trust first. So to trust someone means to believe what they say. And the Cambridge Dictionary, this is my favourite online dictionary, says that to trust means to believe that someone is good and honest and that they will not harm you. And the best example really is when we have very, very young children, maybe 2 or 3 years old, they tend to be full of trust. They tend to trust anybody, and this is how they can get themselves into trouble sometimes. Now, we can also trust things as well as people, and good examples really are trusting your instincts, trusting your intuition. So that's when you kind of feel that something is right or that something is wrong. Maybe you don't have any logical reason, but something inside you is telling you yes or no. So that's to trust your instincts. And of course, it's possible not to trust things or people. An example of people that we tend not to trust very much is politicians. Um, yep, there's quite a lot of people that I know who would say they don't trust politicians. And sometimes we also don't trust our things. If you have an old car, maybe you don't trust your car to start on a cold morning. So rely on. So the first meaning for rely on is that you need the help and support of someone. So again, if we think of our children, children trust adults, but they also rely on adults to care for them, to feed them, and to look after them. You know, a 2-year-old child cannot look after itself. It relies on its parents to look after it. So for this definition, rely on is really a synonym for depend on. The child is really depending on its parents to support it and help it to grow. Now, again, we can rely on things as well as people. So some people rely on their car to get to work. I certainly know people who could not get to work without their car. And of course, it's also possible not to be able to rely on people. So I know someone who is always late by at least 30 minutes. And so you really can't rely on John to be on time because he is always late. Now, let's look at why these words are confusing. Rely on, annoyingly for you, has another meaning, which is actually much closer to trust. And here our Cambridge Dictionary says that rely on means to trust someone or something, to expect him or her or it to behave in a particular way. Now, this is slightly different from that kind of very childlike sense of trust. Okay, so for example, I trust my boyfriend very much. And that is that kind of almost childlike, complete faith in him. This is slightly different. We're now talking about someone's behavior and our expectations of that. And here's an example. You can always rely on the British weather to be awful when we are having a barbecue. If you've ever been in England in the summertime, you might know that barbecues in the rain are not that uncommon because we often plan a barbecue and then, of course, Saturday comes and it rains. So you can always rely on the British weather to be awful when something is supposed to be happening. However, we could use trust too. You can always trust the British weather to be awful when we're having a barbecue. So we're talking about our expectations that the British weather is going to behave like this. So finally then, let's just quickly revise the key differences. When you want to talk about a kind of childlike, almost innocent state of belief in someone or something, you can use trust. So things like, I trust my friend to keep my secret. I believe that my friend will keep my secret. She's not going to go and tell everybody else. If you want to be able to talk about depending on someone or really needing someone or something to support you, then you need to use rely on. So I rely on this computer to help me do my job every day. And if you want to talk about an expectation about someone or something's behavior, here you can use trust or rely on. Okay, so I hope that's helped to clear up some differences with those easily confused words. If you have any other examples of words that you find a bit confusing, or you're not quite clear about the differences, English has lots of words that are very similar and it can be very hard to differentiate. Please just feel free to let me know, and when I get a spare minute, I happily make another lesson like this. Thanks for watching. See you soon.